Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right. Bol Bol has been waived by the Orlando Magic. Now, I read the comment section as I always do, try to get a gauge on what the fans are saying. And in the comment section, I don't know if they're real fans or people that Magic hired to tell this to us, but they're sitting there saying that Bol Bol didn't play any defense and they happy he's gone. Well, I'm happy you're happy because that's a player that y'all should have allowed to stay on your team for about 5 more years to have the same role you had last year so that he could overall boost your team because he's a guard that's like 7'3". The year Bol Bol Wembanyama comes into the league, the year Chet Holmgren comes back from injury, y'all gonna give away the only other player in the league just like that because you didn't like how he performed. You didn't develop him. You didn't develop him. You didn't develop Bamba. You don't develop players. You draft all these youngsters, and if they happen to be superstars when they come there, then cool. But you're not developing anybody. You're not developing Suggs. It's a lot there in Orlando that helps you understand why they have so much young talent. It's because they sucked every year. They always find a way to do stuff they have no business doing, and this is yet another one of those things. If Mo Bamba is not a good defender, his length and his height should make the difference for whether or not you're considering waiving him. Why? Because he is like Wembanyama, and of course Chet Holmgren has already stated. So even if he don't play defense that well, whoever prospect you're bringing in don't affect the court in the way he's capable of affecting it, which is why Denver's stupid, Boston's stupid, and now Orlando is stupid for letting this guy go. He's a guard. Y'all want him to play defense in the paint. That's the problem. They want him to be a 7'3" center when he's actually a 7'3" small forward. Like literally small forward. And if you ask him to do small forward things, he'll probably be better at that. He could block shots in his sleep. This is what I don't understand. It's like if a guy could be 7'3", 7'4", he could shoot threes and he could block shots. How much more? And he can run the floor like a guard. It ain't a whole lot more you need from him. It's the same thing I say about Castleton. Just put him on the floor, man, because he's so big and he's gonna push the break himself. People talking about motor issues and all this stuff. I'm like, man, y'all don't know how easy it is to put a guy like that on the floor and just get good things out of him. Problem with a team like Orlando, just like I always say with their prospects, is they have too many others to check in. You make 1-2 mistakes and they checking in somebody else. It's the same thing I've been hearing about Jack today. Oh, listen to a guy talk about Jack today. Oh, he just wasn't that good. And then he proceeds to explain to us how he never got developed each and every year he's drafted. Like, bro, how the hell is he supposed to get good when he's constantly playing behind people? And every time he make a mistake, y'all sit him down and they'll play him for a month, 2 months. And then he comes back, he's supposed to be what? What you drafted him to be? I mean, if these teams don't know how to develop these players, then looking at the player development needs to be looked at with two eyes. You need to look at it from two angles, rather. If it's the player and what he put in, and it's the organization and what they put in. And if the organization didn't put in, I'm not expecting a 21-year-old to put in. And so that's what I got to say about the Orlando Magic. I don't really like all the stuff that they've done this offseason, so I'm not surprised they waived Bol Bol because that's yet another stupid thing to do. So I'm not surprised. I'm one of the people that poo-pooed the signing that they had. I didn't like it. They signed what's his name, the Aussie. I can't think of his name, but gave him like 15 mil a year or something of that nature. I just don't think that was the greatest decision because even though he's a pretty good player, I don't need him eating that much of the cap at this age when I know I can't retrade him for anything. And that's the type of conversation we have about all these contracts that these teams are signing. It's like they don't understand what happens in the trade market. It's like they don't expect to have to trade anybody, or they don't see how getting stuff on bad value correlates with everything else on their team being difficult, more so difficult to move. And we talk about it every day. But you know, this is an opportunity for another team who doesn't mind developing players to come in and take Bol Bol. I think the Lakers are a no-brainer. Obviously, we're waiting on a center. But we can get away with not getting the center and bringing in a guy like Bol Bol since he's as tall as one anyway. I don't really care. If you bring in a piece like that, I will live without my second center. Put it like that. Because even though I may not necessarily have the center on the team, and I don't want him to play center, he's still 7'2", 7'3". So it's like I can put him in at center. He can play bad defense, and I could care less because he's gonna do the things that I wanted Bamba to do. He's gonna do the things that I want Christian Wood to do at likely way higher upside. It's just we gotta unlock in him what is there to unlock. And so that's my thing. Bol Bol is probably one of the most covetable free agents on the market right now, and he's not going to cost nothing. He's not going to cost anything. Why the Magic didn't shop him, I don't know. Maybe I'm dead wrong, and the market is terrible for him. Maybe teams see him as somebody they don't want, but I don't think that makes any sense. That doesn't add up, given the fact that Wembanyama just came into the league. You got memes going on right now saying Bol Bol is just as good. Just needs an opportunity, and they wave him at the same time. Those memes are actually in flotation. Like it's baffling to me how that player hasn't gotten opportunities. It's baffling how we from afar can watch him do all that he does, be as long and tall and as amazing of a prospect as he is, and teams just keep giving up on him. But I don't know. The Nuggets gave up on him, won a championship, so maybe it'll work out the same way for the Orlando Magic. But I personally want the Los Angeles Lakers to get on the phone, drop everything you're doing, and go get that kid. I want him over Bamba. I want him over Wood. I want him over PJ. Go get him. Because at the end of the day, since we're taking on projects that nobody else seems to want, you just got to take the best ones. You know what I mean? And Bol Bol is going to make our team significantly more powerful of a franchise just from having him on the floor in a year where Chet and Wembanyama coming in. I mean, you give yourself a chance. That's what it really comes down to. Because there's going to be a lot of teams that don't have nobody to put on them guys. Like, at all. Whoever has him, I'm going to put him on Wembanyama. I'm going to put him on Chet Holmgren. And if he can't guard those guys, so be it. But at least he is somebody who is like them. You know what I mean? And that's what every team should probably be looking for some variation of. So, yeah, Miami needs to go get Bol Bol. Phoenix needs to go get Bol Bol. The Lakers and the Clippers need to get Bol Bol. I don't think there's a team that hasn't already had him on their team that shouldn't be looking to get him on there now. This is just the tier. This is the year to definitely have that piece. I don't know how the hell the Orlando Magic did that. Allowed themselves to think that nobody wanted him in this era. That's the part that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I'm more inclined to believe that Orlando got this wrong in not shopping him than to think that they tried to shop him and couldn't get nothing for him in this offseason. Unless his medicals tell us that we should steer clear. That's the only reason why I wouldn't give him a chance. Otherwise, I'm gonna take my chances. If he doesn't have the motor, if he doesn't have the talent, first of all, you telling me he doesn't have the talent, I don't know how the hell you can even convince yourself of that. If he doesn't play defense, you can tell me he doesn't play defense. I can tell you there are other players on your team who can't play defense that you drafted just to be an offensive talent. The Jet Howard is exactly that, Orlando. If you're upset that a guy can only play one side of the floor, but you drafted him for size, you got rid of a guy who probably epitomizes that about as well as anybody described. I think Orlando's kind of lost their way. I think they lost their way this offseason. I really do. I don't think they really understand exactly how best to move into the direction they need to be moving in from here. That's what it looked like. The Anthony Black draft pick was a little flawed, man. Not to say there's anything wrong with Anthony. There's nothing wrong with Anthony. But you just don't necessarily need a point guard at all, and you haven't addressed that at all. And now you're waving people you ain't got no business waving. That's what's happening. You signing people that you can't retrade for nothing, and then you waving people you could have developed into something, and then you're drafting guards in front of people that need to be developed, and you're not waving those people who need to be developed. So they're going to lose value on your team, as we always say, blah, blah, blah. They lose value on the team, and then you end up waving them when you could have developed them and traded them for something better. So I'm just watching Orlando go down a crash and burn type of path that's going to lead to Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero wanting out of there. That's what I see. I see a path where They're going to lose both of them dudes. And it ain't going to be because they're a small market and everybody poaches our players. No, it's because you keep doing stuff like this. This is why, Orlando. Paolo's going to want the hell out of there when it's time for him to finally get the hell out of there. It ain't going to be that first contract because he's going to want that 206. Same with Franz. They're going to want that 206. But after that contract matures, I guarantee you, if y'all haven't gotten y'all act together, they're going to get up out of there. That's a long way down the road, but I'm telling you, that is where you headed. They ain't going to stay there. They're not. Because y'all doing stuff like this. And it's simply done. That's all there is to it. So, like I said, I've heard the cons on Bol Bol's game. Oh, he don't play no D. His motor's not there. We jacked him into the game. He couldn't do anything. He didn't really help all of the other 7-footers on the team that we ultimately put on the team to play 7 feet tall like he did. I mean, it's like you don't have the unicorn effect because everybody on the team is doing the same thing he does. It's the same thing we said about Bamba. It's like when you bring in players like that, they got to be extraordinary in the sense that they're taller than everybody else on the floor. If they're not taller than everybody else on the floor, then it's like, all right, how are they playing versus everybody else on the floor who's getting more minutes than them? Carter's getting more minutes. Franz is getting more minutes. Paolo's getting more minutes. All of those people are 6'10 or above. 6'10. They're 7-footers. So it's like, and you bring in your Bol Bol, you bring in your Bamba. They're not contributing to the floor in ways that overshadow those other two heightened, talented, superstar caliber kids who are that height. You know what I'm saying? They're not contributing. Now, if they could join small ball lineups that the Lakers have going on last year when we were sitting out there with 5 guards under the height of 5'10" or whatever, then you add a Bol Bol and he's the answer because he's extraordinary in that lineup. You add a Bamba and he can be the answer because he's extraordinary in that lineup. For a lineup with 7-footers that are all ball handlers, you know what I'm saying? How the hell does Bol Bol get to be that unicorn ball handler that he's ultimately supposed to be? When the ball's in Paolo's hands and Franz's hands, the guards, Fultz is balling out. I mean, what are you going to do there? I don't know. And I guess they think that they're getting a veteran in the locker room at $15 million a year and everybody praising him for it makes any damn sense. No. He ain't going to solve these problems. All he going to do is be another person that y'all going to have to give opportunities to that's going to take them away from the people you need to be developing. So I'm just frustrated with the two teams that have the most right now. The Orlando Magic and the Houston Rockets. Because they're still doing stuff that doesn't reflect the excellence that they have in their war chest. They got stuff that good GMs should want. But they're not behaving like good GMs, nor do they behave like they understand what they have. And I'm tired of both of them. So that's what I got to say about that particular Orlando Magic situation. I'm not here for waving 7'3" guys that play like guards because they can't. What does that even mean? They can't defend. Do you know how easy it is for a guy like that to get a block shot? You know what I'm saying? He runs the floor like a gazelle. What do you mean he don't play no defense? Someone has to tell me why their coaches couldn't get that kid motivated. So that's what it really comes down to. I'm sick of these I am sick of people telling me about players that are good when they come out of college, that all of a sudden get to the NBA and don't have no talent no more. Now, if you want to argue to me that the influx of people who are like them or guys that are taller that ultimately take more of those 30-team spots, then I can say, fine, okay, maybe a guy who was drafted first overall. Oh, no, that's not a good argument. Maybe a guy who was drafted 10th overall 4 years ago isn't a 10th overall best prospect this year because of the influx of all these guys that have come in on top of him. I can argue that. I'm fine with that. But if those guys never got a chance to show what they can do, could it not be possible that they have intangibles or things to their game that can still make them pros while we're sitting here paying Max Strus and all these guys that you're overpaying to be role players? Are those not those role players that you just simply never developed? And that's what it really comes down to. It's like there's a lack of understanding and cognizance as it pertains to these organizations must invest in that development. And if these players don't figure it out without those infrastructures in place, it's not those players' fault. Because if they would have went somewhere where those infrastructures were in place, they likely would have developed into whatever it is that the players who were in those places developed into. So for me, I'm not really trying to hear the whole Bol Bol. We send him everywhere. He just can't work. Did you send him anywhere where they're known for developing talent? Did you send Karen Reddish anywhere where they're known for developing talent? You know what I mean? And if no, then how the hell they ever gonna get off the ground? You know, and that's my thing. It's like some of these players are just not getting their opportunities. They're getting typecast by, media personalities who are not really fully grasping any of all of this as they just talk to us. They're not really thinking about all that. And then it's like some of my favorite personalities, I don't think they have the same idea about player development that I do. It takes about 5 years. If a guy is still a bust at year 4, that's still fine because there's still more development to do. In fact, plenty if the development's coming slow. So it's like a guy like Jackson Hayes, he only played for the New Orleans Pelicans behind a bunch of people over and over again. And kept coming in front of him, Valanciunas, Zion coming in and out, B.I., ball handling, opportunities at the 7 feet, being 7 feet himself. It just, Jackson Hayes being a non-spacer in this area over the last 4 years, it's just been less and less likely you want a player like that on the floor. In general, that doesn't mean that he's not one of the best athletes at his height in the game. And if given opportunities that maybe other 7-footers in other situations would have gotten, he could have developed into the best version of himself he could have been. Who's to say he can't turn into a pretty solid defender? Who's to say he can't be a guy who can get a bunch of offensive rebounds or be one of the highest field goal percentage guys in the league? Because he's going to get easy buckets. He's more athletic than everybody else, and he's never gotten the consistent minutes. It's likely coaches overreact to him not playing well to start the season and never give him opportunities to reoccur, to learn the lessons that are ultimately needed for him to become a better pro. They never come. Plays 4 not so developing years in a New Orleans system and then gets typecast as a guy who couldn't do nothing with opportunities. Opportunities ain't what he needed. Training, development, repetition is what he needed. Then after that training is put in place and in their skull and in their bodies, then you can give them opportunities with what it is that you've turned them damn into. A lot of times you want to give these guys opportunities without turning them into anything, and they get mad when they don't show you anything when it was your damn job to make them something. So that is all there is that I'm trying to convey in regards to that, man. And Bol Bol is a prime example of what 3 organizations got him in there, weren't ready to develop him, and then sent him on their way. Only for him to parlay into the same type of situation. It's like, nah. Get Bol Bol to a Laker team that has a South Bay Lakers organization system that can help him develop into who it is he wants to be. Okay, that's where we need Bol Bol now. He needs to be down there with Phil Handy, down there with South Bay, flying around and jumping around with that team. That's what I think. And if he doesn't have a good season, so what? Bring me back Bol Bol in 2025, 2026. Keep him developing. You know what I'm saying? If he ain't getting hurt, then he's still 7'3" and can play like a guard. As we go forward, he can still stretch the floor. As he goes forward, and he's 25, 26, 27, still super young, still need to be getting better. 28, 29, still young, still need to be getting better. You know what I'm saying? So all this talk about giving up on guys who have extraordinary length and extraordinary height, if they've already proven that they're players in this league, you need them now more than you did 2 years ago. So getting rid of them just is a reflection of how you don't seem to understand that. That's all that is, Orlando. And all the fans who are celebrating letting him go, y'all better hope you're right about him not being able to play. Y'all better hope y'all right. Because that don't seem like a very informed fan that's going to be happy to let that player go without at least a damn trade coming back in return. No. It's one of the most important assets you had, whether you know it or not. No. So that right there is stupid. I would encourage Bol Bol not to return to some of the teams he's been on, because that's what a lot of free agents do in situations like, don't go back to Denver. They won a championship, but they are not doing things correctly, and they're going to want you to do either more than what you should be, or they're going to bench you again, because that's how it goes. Don't go back there. Boston, no, even though they love size, they didn't use you when they had you. They sent you to Orlando. That shouldn't have been done. So that's what I'm saying. Go to a new situation that really needs you, who's going to give you an opportunity. Minnesota comes to mind. Phoenix comes to mind. Clippers come to mind. All these teams that don't have nothing. Miami comes to mind. They need to play you because they need you to turn into something so they can trade you. You know what I'm saying? That's the tip. He don't want to go to some of these teams that got a million picks because if he doesn't develop, they can afford to waive you. That's the problem with Orlando. They could afford to waive you. A team that don't have much of nothing, they would not even consider that if they had any sense because they definitely need you to bloom to a better asset. So that's what I would tell Bol Bol. He needs to go to a situation complete opposite of Dame Lillard in terms of how he's trying to structure himself to get somewhere. Not that he has leverage, but I'm just saying, like, the best opportunity for him is going to be somewhere that doesn't have a whole lot, as opposed to teams that can, like I said, with Dame, absorb his contract and still have plenty left over after a trade. So this is just strategy, man, path strategy for players. You know, you want to get to an organization that appreciates you with young talent, but sometimes those are the teams that don't have the opportunities for you because they have other young talent. So, yeah, for him, it's the opposite. Phoenix, Golden State, those are the type of teams that Bol Bol need to be going to. Yeah, Golden State makes a lot of sense to me. So, these type of things we're thinking about, man. Bol Bol should not play without a team. He shouldn't be in Guangdong. He shouldn't be overseas. None of that G League, none of that. If he goes to the G League, it should be with a good organization that has intention of calling him up, like the Lakers. So hopefully, Rob Pelinka is on the horn, man. There's nothing else for us to do. If our center position was in place like we loved it to be, then this guy's whoever we were going to sign would already be here. If we wanted Bamba, he would already be here. That's why we're holding out so we can get somebody else. I'm thinking it's PJ Washington. Now that Bol Bol is on the map, I don't even want PJ's a better player, but I'm gonna need that statue there. I'm gonna need that statue on my team. 7'3", one of them other dudes one of the 3 people in this league that is that tall who can play like a guard rather. I need him on my team, and so do you, all of you, honestly. And please don't let him go to where one of those players already at. Don't let him go to OKC, and definitely do not let him go to San Antonio. BDL 44. I'll thank you all for watching. I'm out.